I'm Sophie.
I'm Cindy.
I'm Gavin.
And I'm Susan, and this is our Sprint 3 Lotus Routes Travel App presentation.
So Lotus Roots, well, we are we are tasked to make a travel website that aims to share Japanese cultural events and travel information. The primary goal is to connect Japanese descendants with their heritage, and some technical goals for the website includes using web scraping for content updates, um, including a quiz feature that will generate a personalized itinerary for the user based on their quiz results. And a future long-term goal is to partner with travel agents to provide curated travel packages.
So during our development process, we went through 3 sprints on this project. Sprint 1, we committed towards establishing what type of web framework we were going to use to initialize the repository and just get a template we can work off of for the website. So we experienced a lot of learning due to being inexperienced and having to pick up certain aspects of web development we haven't worked with before. It led to some difficulties trying to manage GitHub as well as communicating with our client who was traveling during the duration of development. But we worked through that. Sprint 2 was when we added more functionality to the quiz. Rather than just being more of a generic template, we added a list of curated results that we got through text processing of a very large geographical breakdown of Japan. And then using our pool of generated questions as well as our curated responses, we were able to make a quiz that has random questions and answers for each take, therefore giving it retakeability as requested of the client. And it includes a downloadable itinerary that you can save as a user. On top of that, we overhauled the front end, just made it look better, added a lot more successfully, and implemented a SQL server that would include the giant pools of questions and responses. The fact that we were unable to get it hosted on a server was a challenge for this sprint, as we can only test within a localized system. As well as we've experienced some life issues and sickness in the group that delayed us at some points during the development. Sprint 3 was when we attempted to deploy and document our final progress as we wrap up and ship this off to another group to be developed further. Documentation went well. We were able to effectively learn Markdown and capture all of the important information needed to pick up development again. That being said, deployment experienced delays due to client unavailability when accessing a DreamHost server login, and we were unable to get a development environment going to work on getting a published website.
So our finalized tech stack includes using Django as our back-end framework, using MySQL for our database management system, and React for the front-end framework. So like Gavin previously mentioned, our Sprint 3 backlog consisted of primarily documentation and deployment. We had asked our client to set up a test environment within his DreamHost domain, but unfortunately he was not able to get back to us on time regarding that. But we documented everything we could regarding deployment recommendations on our documenting markdown file that we created. And in the future, if another team were to take over for this project, some additions that they could implement are web scraping for the event uploading process, as well as an AI integration for the itinerary generizer progress.
Looking back over this most recent sprint, we evaluated what went well and what didn't. Documentation went well. It was great. We were able to accurately assess everything that was needed. Additionally, we made some improvements to the repository organization and learned a lot about using DreamHost as a website server host mechanism, although we didn't get to accurately implement that with our current project, but we now know how to do that if we needed. The challenges this sprint were communication. The client had expectations for development that weren't feasible within the final sprint. He was away for a month during sprint 2, and we communicated with him once at the beginning of sprint 3, and he asked for more features, including an additional page that could like manage and filter through live updated events in Japan. That just wasn't able to be done during the process of the documentation as we were wrapping up the sprints at that time. Additionally, after that, the client failed to come through on login information to get the website onto a DreamHost server. So those features on the site fell through toward the end.
All right, our overall project takeaways. I'm going to turn it over to Sophie.
Okay, so one of our biggest takeaways is that we were able to get a lot of experience with like the back end and front end development. And as someone who's never worked in front end, I feel like that was a really valuable experience. Also, React is used a lot in the industry, so I thought that was just awesome. We also improved our Git skills and learned how to use it with the command line and stuff like that. Also improved on the teamwork and collaboration. So one of our biggest goals was that we wanted to make sure that we got everything done in a timely manner, and then we were able to do that because we communicate with each other really well. And we also set clear and realistic project goals.
All right, and then another big takeaway was the importance of client communication because our client was on a boat for the majority of the sprints, and then in Japan for the latter half. It was really important to us to take full advantage of any time we got to meet with him virtually, and in times when we weren't, communication was key. So some big lessons we learned was always having a set meeting agenda. This provided clarity on both ends of discussion and made sure that everyone was on the same page. Similarly with that was preparing a list of questions prior to meeting. Again, helped with clarity and made sure that nothing was forgotten during the meeting. And then lastly, consistent communication of progress and blockers. So even when we weren't able to meet with our client virtually, we made sure to consistently send him updates through Slack to make sure he was aware of where we were in the project as well as any challenges we were facing. All right, now jumping into the demo, I'm going to switch gears for a second here. All right. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so we modeled our front end homepage kind of after like our client's original page, which he hosted on WordPress. And so one of the biggest things that we wanted to kind of showcase was like different images, just like showing off Japanese culture. You can see his logo at the top with the Find Your Roots to kind of like symbolize like the lotus flower and stuff like that, and along with the Lotus Roots brand name. Going down the page, we can kind of see like some different images of like the shrine, one of the shrines, and there's some food right there, and some more about the culture. And that's just kind of to like entice the viewer to want to go to Japan. And we also have like a blurb from his webpage, kind of talking about the purpose of the company and why people should consider visiting Japan. And there's also a learn more button, which I believe is linked to the About Us page. But anyway, if we go up to the top and go to the About Us page, we can kind of see the mission of the company. and it's just to consolidate resources about Japanese culture. And going back down, we can see some more things to just like entice the customer to visit Japan, and as well as work with the company to kind of figure out some things that the customer may want to do. And that's why we have a contact us page right here. It kind of gives our client more information or like questions that customers may have about the company, as well as any like specific things about visiting Japan themselves if they would like to. And it also gives them a way for the client to contact them back after. Um, so yeah.
All right. And then another aspect of the website was the Japanese quiz. So this quiz basically asks the user different questions about their interest in Japan, activities they would want to do, seasons they would want to visit in. And so it's 10 questions. The questions are randomized each time. So this allows the user to take the quiz as often as they want and get different results. We'll see in this case, it outlines the title of our trip for us, and then it provides an image to get the user excited about that trip, a brief description underneath, and then the itinerary. So it on the actual front end, it provides an overview, very basic, the different sites that you can go ahead and see in a 3-day trip with the option to go ahead and download a full itinerary. If I go ahead and click that, I get a PDF. And this allows the user to save that and come back to it. So in the PDF, it breaks down the days a bit more in depth, provides a bit more information about the different sites that you can see, breaks it down, morning, afternoon, and just allows a bit more information about the trip that the website has gone ahead and planned for them. All right, and so that is it for the quiz. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and turn it over to Cindy.
Yes, so I will be showing our database where our questions are stored, our quiz questions are stored, along with all of the question options here. And on this screen, you'll see the Django backend of our quiz questions in the form of a JSON file here. And if the admin were to want to add additional questions, let's say, do you prefer walking tours, bus tours, or exploring by public transportation? And then have the options of the question here, along with the today's date. We can add this question into our database. It is ID'd question 76. And if we just refresh this, go all the way to the bottom, you'll see this question that's now added. And if we go back to our MySQL server, refresh, you'll see that this question is added into our database. And that was just a brief overview of, the admin view of adding new questions to the database. And I'll stop sharing and hand it over to Gavin.
All right, thank you. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So for this last segment of the demo, I just wanted to talk a little bit about our code, what the current state of the GitHub repository is, and any development plans that we had ideas in the future. So for instance, this is currently what our GitHub looks like. We have a back-end, front-end. All of the code here belongs to constructing the website you viewed prior. If you were to look into the back-end, we have this LR quiz folder. You can see here we have models designed for the survey questions and survey responses. that just document like a question name and then the 4 different options. Same thing with the survey response. It has like a response answer that gets sent back. Now, the reason that does get sent back is it is, although it's a multiple choice survey and you're not actually sending text back, responses could be sent back that could determine point values for scoring and providing more curated to the user responses for the end result itinerary. Some of these features weren't able to be fully implemented by the end of the development cycle, but the big picture idea is if you've seen how the locations are stored, this is how we've processed the Japanese geographical breakdown. These locations are filtered by their region, their name, and then we've included topics and characteristics that could be relevant to the location. These topics and locations could be attributes of the actual location that could increase or decrease their likelihood of being selected depending on the multiple choice answers. This is all things that we're hoping as the development moves forward and the logic of the backend increases in terms of retrieval from the database, that we could use a wide pool of questions and responses to create a more accurate quiz structure. Additionally, another feature that we were considering was the implementation of a text generative ChatGPT fine-tune model that could take a list of locations and make a extended plan. This is something that we discussed with our client. He was possibly interested in the idea. However, we couldn't set him up with an API key and a credit card in time to actually implement that. But it is something we will be including to note for a future endeavor. And besides that, Cindy mentioned how the database was connected to the back end. You could see that over here. We have the back end listed here, and then the database listed here with how it's connected. And I think those are all the big points to go over. It's a pretty straightforward web structure, and we hope in the future the quiz logic and the AI implementation, as well as the web scraping pages, to be added.